All right, looks like we're live. Welcome back to the Behind the Bits podcast, BTB Buddies. Scott here with you as usual. My guest today grew up in the tobacco fields of Kentucky, not in the fields themselves, but around them. Went on to start stand-up comedy in the early 90s. He's got a dry bar special that is very good. Longtime host of the School of Laughs podcast, which is the granddaddy of all the comedy podcasts. You look back to when he started it, it was 2014. So hated podcasts can say that, especially when you're talking about the business of stand-up comedy, writing bits and stuff like that. So it's the granddaddy of all of them. He's also the resident warm-up comedian for Huckabee on TBN and a lot of other things, but I don't want to make a real long introduction. Here is Rik Roberts.
Hey there, how's it going,
Rick,
Scott?
thanks so much for coming on the show. You've been one of the longtime gets that I wanted to get, and we finally got ourselves together, so I appreciate that.
You bet. I'm very gettable these days. I'm not doing
it is a little easier now. So what we do here at the beginning is what I like to call the rapid round. That's so my podcast viewers who like to see video stuff can get a taste of what the podcast is going to be about. But if you folks want to really watch or listen to the whole thing, you got to subscribe to Behind the Bits. It's on all the apps. Subscribe to it, and you'll get to hear us talk about the real stuff, because we're just going to talk about surface stuff. Before I get into it too far with Rik, I want to remind you all that I've got the special with Tom Dreesen coming up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking about his new book, Still Standing. I've got him for an hour, and we're going to talk through the book. I'm going to ask for some behind-the-scenes stuff on the stuff I've read. Tom Dreesen is my all-time favorite comic and the first guest on the show, and I'm really happy to have him with me. Thank you. And now I'm back with Rik. So, Rik, we're going to do the rapid round here. I don't need to ask you where you're from, because I already know that you're from Kentucky.
Yes, sir. Grew up in
the Kentucky,
just outside of Lexington. I mean, I'm trying to find a nice background here for you. I'm just going to go with nothing. Yeah, right in the heart of Kentucky. Tobacco, bourbon, the castle, you name it. Right there.
Well, I actually, I've got a day career, and I'm in Carrollton, Kentucky, and Shelbyville, Kentucky, quite a bit. So not too far from you, kind of a stone's throw from where you were.
Yep.
So let's talk about comedy. Who were some of your influences when you were a kid? Who was it that made you laugh and made you start thinking, I might like to do this?
You know, Bill Cosby was huge when I was a kid, and he actually performed at my dad's company Christmas party when I was like 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere really young. And so, you know, I didn't really know then what I know now about comedy, but it was a corporate gig for him. He did great, and at the end, he handed out Christmas presents and stuff like that. I wish I had pictures. But Bill Cosby was big. As I got a little bit older, you know, Steve Martin was probably the first guy that blew me away. The King Tut thing. When I heard it, it was funny. When I saw it on Saturday Night Live, it lit me up. And Dennis Miller, as far as the way you can write tight jokes and smart jokes, I liked that.
Right.
And then, you know, when I was a senior in high school, moving on into college, Dice Clay was really big, and I just liked his pace. And those are 4 or 5 from the early ones that I kind of remember. And of course, George Carlin too. I got into him when I was in high school, and his written bits that he would do for radio and for some of his projects like AM, FM. I just thought were incredible, and I'd memorized those things.
Hippy Dippy Weatherman. That was I think it was before AM, FM, or was that on that album?
You know, I can't remember exactly, but it was around that same.
I know it's in that era.
Yeah, he was great.
This is something I asked. It's kind of, it may be off the comedy thing, but it's something I'm interested in, because this is what I like to talk to people about. What books are you reading, music you listening to, magazine articles, podcasts? What's inspiring you these days that you could share with the audience?
You know, not reading a whole lot besides doing some research now. I just put together a 15-part video series, taking lessons from the Andy Griffith Show and making those business lessons. And so I've read 5, 6 different Andy Griffith Show, Mayberry books here in the past 2 months, and been really grinding hard on that. And then other than that, I don't consume a lot. I try to produce a lot.
Okay.
You know, I really, this COVID-19 shutdown has given me an opportunity to get some big projects going and completed. And so if this thing drags on really long, I might do the back half kind of reading and putting stuff in. But right now I'm trying to get stuff out.
Uh-huh. Okay, great. Fantastic. So thinking about your favorite comedy album or Netflix special, what would you say, and I don't want you to cut it down to one. What would you say are your like top three favorite comedy albums or specials?
You know, one of my favorite specials, as far as just how well worth your time it is, was Chris Rock's special from Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
I'm not sure the name of that one, but he came right out, and for a solid hour or whatever it was, there wasn't 10 seconds where you just weren't laughing and thinking at the same time. And at that point, I thought, this is probably the best special I've ever seen. I think he had it on a silver suit in that one, if you want to Google it or look it
Hmm.
up. But I've been doing comedy for a while at that point, obviously, when I saw it, and I just appreciated the fact he didn't waste his time on stage trying to figure out where the joke was or trying to figure out what the audience liked. He came in and delivered what he thought was funny, and he'd worked on for a year, and it's phenomenal. Just thought it was
Hmm.
off the charts good. Other than that, I've watched the most recent Seinfeld special,
Hmm.
and he's still writing jokes. There's still laughs in there, but he just seems very dated now. You're in your 60s talking about Pop-Tarts. I just feel like there's more on the table.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I don't know if he knows how to write any different. So I think that's what you're going to get till he's done.
yeah,
I did like it though. I mean, it was good.
he's there. He's doing his thing. Brian Regan, I like a lot. His live special he did on Comedy Central a few years back. It was slightly delayed, but it was live. I thought that was a great
Hmm.
testament to how you can deliver on the spot, and under all the restrictions that TV has. Brian Regan had no problem doing that, and it was kind of cool seeing the
Yeah.
live factor. It's kind of like walking a tightrope. You can't go back and edit if they didn't
Right.
laugh and put laughs in there. So those
And it's
kind of
kind of
all
a
stand out.
precursor to Zoom shows.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's there, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's great. The last thing I'd like to ask you is, when you think about the first time you performed, I know you were in a troupe before you did stand up, but the first time you got up and did stand up, can you tell me what that was like?
Yeah, I can give you a nutshell of what it was. But the first time I went on stage, I didn't know it was a comedy night, and it was before I did the improv. So I went to a place to play guitar one Sunday night, and they said, you can sign up here. It's an open stage. They never mentioned the word comedy anywhere. So I signed up, and it turned out it was a competition. It was an ongoing competition. The people with the most votes over the competition went towards the end of the show. It was my first time there, so I went first. So I saw no comedy. Nobody said the word comedy. It was not at a comedy club. They gave me 5 minutes. I played 3 songs, and nobody claps. They're just staring. They're trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And when I get done, the MC says, "Did you know tonight's a comedy open stage?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What is that? I've never heard of that before." Uh, and I've got a longer version of that story. It goes into the details on my podcast if somebody wants to look it up. But I had no idea that it was comedy. So I did 5 minutes, try to get out of there because I realized I was in the wrong place. A couple guys brought me back in and said, "You get free food for going on stage." So I was hungry
Uh-huh.
and broke. Watched 20 comedians going up, and it got funnier as the night went on because those people
Uh-huh.
had been voted funnier. And I said, "I'm coming back here every Sunday till I figure this thing out."
That's really cool. You know, one of the things I do is, instead of just doing comedy open mics, I do the ones that are predominantly music, because first of all, if you can make them laugh, you can make anybody laugh. Because I didn't come here to see comedy, so
Right.
I like to do that to stretch myself and see if I can connect with anybody. So that's kind of turning that on its head.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you can get a laugh where they don't expect it, when they want it, it should be 10 times easier. So people
Yeah,
always ask me, what's the best open mic in town? I'm like, the next one, whatever
yeah.
the next one is, get on stage because they're not there to see you for a long time. So if you can win them over, that's half of the game at least.
Uh-huh. Have you ever done the I'm sure you don't do too many open mics anymore, but have you ever done one at the Cobra, East Nashville?
Haven't done that one.
I think it's called the Cobra Room. I did that. We were in Nashville for I don't know what it was for. We go to Nashville quite a bit, and I did the mic there, and it was okay. And I did one a couple years ago, and I know the place is closed since then. It was like right adjacent to downtown, and that was a pretty good one too. And looks like Nashville's got a pretty decent scene going on.
Yeah, there's always open mics happening. There's some longer running ones. There's typically some that pop up for 2 or 3 months. So I'm a big fan. If you're into open mics, to as soon as one starts, go do it, because it's probably going to be gone in 2 or 3 months when they realize comics don't order a lot of expensive food and drink. So
Yeah.
so don't wait till it gets good. Go in there and take advantage of it while it's still
Yeah, no
going.
doubt. Yeah, you got to go in and make it good. Well, this has been the rapid round. I got it in right under 11 minutes, so I feel pretty good. I shoot for 10. And folks, if you're watching this and you like what Rik has to say, we're going to talk a lot more about stand-up, his career, his history, and it's going to be a great podcast coming out soon. Subscribe to Behind the Bits on all the podcast app. I don't care how you listen to it, just listen to it. And we've got a lot of great episodes out there. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for the Tom Dreesen Show. Bye, folks.